Welcome to another edition of Like It Is. I'm your host, Anthony Jenkins, also known as Big Tone, aka Panda. Gun violence, a national epidemic or a community problem. We will break down the facts, talk about how we got to this deadly point, and provide you information on steps you can take to lessen the chance of your neighborhood turning into a war zone and your children becoming a statistic. We are telling it like it is.
Black people are on fire from this white system through its soldiers, through its enforcers, through its mercenaries that we call police officers.
Why is it that, fathers, we have to prove that we're good fathers when, as far as the mothers, it's just assumed?
This is Like It Is.
I'm a black man trying to save a black man, and I noticed as I looked around the whole room, there's no one helping me.
What we see around us, we don't believe that because we want to buy into standards, but those standards are manufactured and created.
That's right.
This is Like It Is.
The reality is, if it affects you, it affects me.
Why is it a debate about homosexuals? Why is it a big debate about if they get married in this church or that church? Because at the end of the day, they're still in the church.
This is Like It Is.
What is the need of that community?
So I'll wait on the check. I'll keep my self-respect first.
I heard that.
Here to answer your questions and address your concerns is Leroy Fisher of Huntington Park United. Jack Harris is the United States Deputy Sheriff, Association 2016, Pennsylvania Citizen of the Year for his work bringing cops in the community together. Douglas Page, former federal police officer, and Kimani Salas of the Youth United for Change, along with Tanya Banks for Tanya Production Company. Good afternoon. Gun violence is a national problem. Half of the gun homicides in the country occur in 127 cities highly populated by the people of color. So my question is gun violence a black problem?
Well, look, it's a multifaceted problem throughout our communities. We talk about poverty. We talk about lack of opportunities for our young and people of color. We have to present better opportunities for the residents of our neighborhood so that they gravitate away from what is negative in our community and accept more of what is positive in our community, from programming, job creation, and things of that nature.
Okay. So how do we get them to gravitate towards that?
Well, one thing we have to do with racism is there's only one race on this planet. It's the human race.
There you go.
You're just a man or a woman. But we need more people to accept the fact that only the person matters.
Right.
It's not white or black. It shouldn't be or any other color. Like I mentioned the Muslim race. There's far more good people in every country and every place than there are bad people.
Right. So, my next question to you then, now that you brought that point up, are what are some of the influences driving this deadly narrative?
Well, the influences are a lot of people are afraid of the gangs, and they're not willing to take a stand and protect themselves against the gang. And we need more people to unite. And if people don't want to, if the police don't know there's a problem or a crime has been committed, they can't do anything about it. Talk to your police. Learn to reach out to your police.
Right.
And both ways. The police have to reach out to the community. The people have to reach into their police department.
Okay.
And if you want to take a stand and you know things that aren't right, this is a suggestion that I have, is to talk to your clergy. Go through your clergy to the police.
Okay.
That's a completely anonymous tip.
Right.
But it may help in some way.
Okay, so another question I have, Tanya, tell me something. This one, I'm directing this one towards you.
Okay.
Because realistically, is it realistic to believe we can reduce gun violence in the urban communities? You know what I mean? And why is gun violence so high among black youth in our areas?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here. It's a pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
Me, myself, personally, being a parent that has lost their child to gun violence. My son was 20 years old when he was gunned down 3 years ago. It's really not a quote-unquote solution. I'm a parent that went to school, went to 7 schools. I'm a nurse by trade. All my children were in all kind of programs. They were in Little League basketball, Little League football, PAL. They did everything with the private school.
So you did the things it took to keep
I did the things that people told me you're supposed to do to try to keep your children alive.
Okay.
But unfortunately, it didn't save my youngest son.
Okay.
I believe that a lot of times, me being a single parent, it wasn't a male-dominant figure in the home.
Okay.
I'm working, I'm taking care of the family, I'm doing everything right. I just think that is what they see. A lot of things are glamorized as far as in the neighborhoods, me living in an urban society. A lot of people look towards, especially the younger guys, they're growing up and they're seeing the older guys getting money, the glamour, the glitz, the girlfriends, the cars, and it's easy for them. They can make $1,000 a day when I have to go out and make $1,000 in 2 weeks. So it makes it really accessible and easy. So it's hard to shelter
So you
your
believe
children.
that's part of the influence?
Yeah, it's what they see.
Okay.
I mean, you can do all you can, and I think sometimes it's programs. My children were in programs when they were small, but when they became 13, a lot of the programs stopped.
Right.
So between 13 and 18, there's no programs.
Right.
So if there's no programs, what do? They go and find other things to amuse themselves. They start hanging out. They start hanging with the wrong crowd. They start doing the wrong thing when you're at work.
Right.
So it's a group effort. I think back in the day when we were young, you had the neighbors.
Okay.
Tell the parents, well, I saw your son doing this.
Uh-huh.
People are afraid to do that now. They might get a firebomb in their house thrown. They might get gunned down for doing something like that. Also, it was a code on the streets. There's no snitching. So now you have people who are honestly afraid, even if they see a crime, to really sit back and say, okay, I saw this crime, because they fear for their life. So it's a lot of things involved. I don't think it's one solution. I think it's a lot of things combined.
Okay, so, did you know that in our area, our area has, out of the top 20 hot spots, we're known for one of the top 20 hot spots for gun homicides, 13 on the list. Newark, New Jersey, 11 on the list, Wilmington, Delaware, 10 on the list, Camden, New Jersey, 2 on the list, Chester, PA. The Dickey Amendment of 1996 ended funding to the CDC for gun violence research. Why was the funding cut? The places that need the most help generate the least tax, So how does this community get the resources to help with prevention and aftercare of gun violence?
Well, one, we got to recognize programs that work. And when you talk about the sports programs and cutting off at a certain age, most of the programs cut off at a certain age in the hopes that they'll pick it up in high school and they'll follow those mentors. We have to keep our hand on them because it just doesn't end when they're out of our program. As a coach, we are always reaching back and trying to get the kids to remember the lessons that we taught them, follow the positive examples and not get caught up in the negative examples that they're set out there in our communities.
Yeah, so wouldn't it benefit the surrounding areas to split the costs for cleanup to avoid becoming the victims of the social costs of gun violence?
Well, I also think that a lot of the problem could be we need more male mentors. We need that same young guy that walks down the street and speaks to Mr. Jack.
Right.
Just take him by the hand and say, listen, let me teach you some carpentry.
There you
let
go.
me teach you some plumbing.
There you go. Step in.
Step in.
Right.
Because a lot of these children don't even have skills.
Right.
Because they don't have a male figure in the home.
Right.
So I think because a long time ago we used to have big brothers. Bring those type of things back. And I think a lot of the youth, they want you to talk to them.
Right.
They are crying out for attention. And the bad part about it, their mindset is that they don't even believe they're going to live past 25. We have to break that cycle because they don't think they have anything to live for.
Right. Well, it starts in the home. You know, these kids don't know how to get to these different programs and these different mentors. You know, the home structure has changed. So I believe that we have to also get the kids, you know what I mean? Somebody has to be accountable in the household, especially if it's a single parent, to get these kids to these programs, right?
Right.
You know, when we come back, we are going to increase your gun knowledge so you can gain some control over the gun violence interrupting your living, like it is. You know what I'm saying?
Recognize. Testing 1, testing 2. Am I loud enough? Can you hear me? I said, can you hear me? Then hear this. It's time to recognize. There's a hole in your theory. You don't need to fear me. You don't need to scare me. Just be aware of me. I'm here just like you. I'm doing what I have to do. My direction is true, man. I just can't get through. Mind check 1, mind check 2. Do I have to be louder for you to hear me? To hear this. It's time to recognize, or did you give up hope? Thought you couldn't cope? Did all that dope, then try to hang by rope? But you got a reprieve as you did 360 degrees, and then you fell to your knees, and then you begged God, please. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? I want you to hear this. It's time to recognize there's mad power in knowledge. Get a bigger dosage. Take it behind to a college. A brain can be salvaged. Pass that word to the young. Tell them to put down that gun. Life's just begun. And here, my friend, you only get one. Did you hear that? See, because in my verse, I try to send a message, but not everybody tends to get it. See, man, my work is never through. Here's a piece for you.
We're back, y'all. Start this off. We got a question from the audience.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shati Knox. One of my questions is, do you believe that there's less police protection in black communities than it is in other communities?
Well, and I'll speak for myself. I'm a former police officer, and I've been off the job since 2000. I don't think that an everyday police officer or police officers in districts have that bias. Unfortunately, you're looking at approximately 6,600 police officers throughout the city of Philadelphia, and you have over 1.2 million people. So the ratio and the numbers don't always adequately add up. You're never going to have enough policing, and then you really don't want over-policing where they're violating rights and things of that nature. So it's like any job in the world, like anything. You are doing the best you can with the amount of equipment and the amount of police that you have at your disposal.
Are we just do we have enough police in our area compared to being in a suburban area? You know what I'm saying? Where the gun violence is at. Do we have enough officers there? Do you think that's part of the problem, that we don't have enough officers there?
I don't think you have enough officers, period. Suburban areas, you have less of the problems that you face in the urban, impoverished areas. Suburban areas where they're not facing the same struggles that some urban areas are facing, the problems are different. You don't face the same situation. So it's a funny thing to deal with if you're coming home and you're worried about being robbed on the street. It's a little different than you are when you're going home and you had a security of leaving your car open and leaving your door open.
My question is for you, Doug. How do you think this works? This all equals out as far as the police in the suburban area compared to the police, in the projects. There you go, the urban area.
It's like night and day. It's two different worlds. I've been blessed to work in 4 states: Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. So I know how the game goes, as they say.
Okay.
And the bottom line is, the question was what we could do with so many officers, like you said, 6,000. We're just using that
hypothetically. The problem is not how many officers you have.
Right.
The question is, what do you do with them officers? Those officers, you don't know these officers in your community. You know,
Okay.
They don't walk down the street. You don't know them by name.
Right.
The bottom line is it's community policing is what you need.
Okay.
Community policing is your answer. Not patrol. You have all the cars in the world out there. You got 10,000 cops. That's not your answer. Your answer, you need cops in the community to make a difference. So somebody can say, that's Officer Joe, that's Officer Brian. Not just a blue car, a white car, a black cop, a white cop. That's the, and you need programs for these kids, you know. In the urban areas, you got all kinds of programs. Like I'm sure you have programs here, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Right.
And one of the things they did, like police exploring, which I'm quite sure you're familiar with, they used to have police exploring in your communities, but now they took it out the community and put it in one place, which is now Academy Road in the Northeast. So if you live in West Philly, North Philly, if you're interested in being in a program like that, you cannot even get in it because it's not in your community anymore.
Right, right. So do you think that the youth are able to interact with the police officers anymore? Like, you know, I remember once upon a time, you know, a police officer would actually get out and grab a basketball and shoot the basketball, like, yo, y'all be cool, have a good day. Do you see that anymore? Is it more so that the police and the community need to come back together?
You know, we had a disconnect a long time ago when I was telling folks back in the early 80s when parents were buying their kids the #1 game in the world, which was Grand Theft Auto. And what blew my mind, you had kids 5 and 6 years old playing Grand Theft Auto.
Wow.
And the only thing this game taught was rob, shoot, kill.
Right.
And I like to tell parents, do you know what's in this video game? And this was the answer I would hear from the parent. They like it. Well, I said, wow, who's raising who here? And you got to remember now, no kids are now adults. So you had generations of kids playing Grand Theft Auto, years of people talking about kill the police, and the list goes on and on, from songs that went from I Love You Baby to I Love You B. And, you know, because of the culture shock went on in generations, and not counting the drug, you know, exploitation in our community, all these things was like a big explosion. And it's not just the police, the community got to come together and do something. I tell folks all the time, we're the most talking, marching race in the world. You know what we don't do? We don't do.
Well, let's take it to another level then. Let's talk about where it starts at.
It starts at home.
About it.
Let me give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I got 8 daughters.
Okay.
By the same woman. Okay. I got a little brother from the Big Sister program. He's 7 when I got him. He's 27 now. I had a mentoring program for kids 14 to 20. I took him at 13 to get them off the street.
Okay.
I had 44 of them kids. And the bottom line goes, if I got time for all those kids, I want to hear another black man tell me he ain't got time for no kids.
Okay.
It starts at home. That's where it starts at.
Okay. Well, my next question, yo, Kia, tell me something. How you feel about this? You know, you're young. You out here. You see what the streets is. You see what it is. You know, let these people know, like how you feel about it. You know.
What I think about gun violence is that it's not that I think that it should be more police out there or less. I think that police officers should actually start like walking around, patrol patrol the area and like make friends with people, like talk to people, have a conversation, like sit there and like talk about, ask a person, yo, how's your day? You know, like when I was 12 years old, like it's not always like about, oh, just because somebody is shooting a gun at you, it doesn't mean because it's for you. Like you don't know, you might be at the wrong place at the wrong time. I got shot when I was 12. So like, I saved my mom's life in the middle of a shootout. It wasn't for us, we was just walking by somewhere.
Okay.
So I think like the gun violence is really not, it's not really about the guns, it's about the people that makes the decision.
Right.
Because the gun is not the one killing people, it's the people that behind the gun.
Okay.
And so it's not also about like black versus black, white versus black, or race versus other race. It's about the problems that are in the street, because a gun violence can start over an argument. The pettiest thing in the world. Somebody pull out a gun and bang.
Right.
What happened?
So my question to you, before we go to this question in the audience, do you realize that that's not the answer?
Exactly, it's not
Gotcha.
the answer. I think if gun would exist, none of this gun violence would be around. Like, it's too many guns out here. Too many, like, I think they should stop making guns, and the ones that they find, or from like when they catch a bad people, when they find them in the streets, or like just incinerate them. Like,
Okay.
stop making them. Like, if the more they exist, the more people that's gonna die, because anybody could get a gun out here in the
Right.
street.
Okay. So let's go back to my audience out here. What do you have to say about the situation?
Hi, everyone. I want to thank you for taking the time. This is a really important issue within the community. Ms. Banks, I think it is.
Yes.
You touched on being a single mom. I, too, am a single mom, and I really have a heart for the children who are forced to grow up without that male dominance, that positive energy in the home, the structure, the guide. But it seems to encompass everything that you're saying. The young man on the end, Kimani, I'm more interested in knowing what their opinion is. We think we have the answer, and clearly I think as adults we don't have all of the answers. But I am interested in, Kimani, just this one special thing. Outside of taking guns away, I don't know if that's real. I don't know if stopping that is real in the United States at least. What do you think at home made you want to make a positive impact? What was it for you at home that made you say, hey, I have to stand out away from the common behaviors of all the other kids. I want to do something different.
All right. What hit me was back then, I used to have a lot of friends that used to be bad. They used to tell me do bad stuff. I was, around the hood, around the streets, did stupid things. What hit me was when I looked at my mom and dad. Because at the end of the day, if I stay in the streets and do that, I ain't gonna make it nowhere in life. I ain't gonna take my family out the hood, buy them a house, buy them a car, see them grow up, me taking care of them. Like, I'm already 19. I don't need my dad to give me money. I want to put money in his pocket. I want to help him pay the bills. I want to help him since he helped me since I was a young boy, raised me, took care of me, had a roof under my head. Had a roof over my head. I want to have a roof over his head. I want to take care of him, protect him, stand with him. And so I was like, I changed because if I still do the dumb stuff that my friends used to do, I'm going to end up dead in the street. There's going to be violence wherever you go. And people make dumb decisions. So you do one thing that a person don't like, you don't know how it's going to turn out to be. I had war with people, and it didn't turn out good either. So I was like, I got to leave that to change my path, so I won't end up dead.
Do y'all think that the things that we're seeing right now on TV, the music that we're listening to, do y'all think that is affecting the community with this gun violence? That's my question. Do y'all think the videos that they're showing, they don't call, the women are being called the B word, and the things that they're taking on and the violence that they're seeing, do y'all think that contributes to what's going on, the drugs that are being sold in these videos and the Lamborghinis they're driving around in? Do you think that contributes to what's going on? Sir, did you?
Well, I had, actually it's kind of related.
Okay.
I had a comment that was directed towards something that Doug said about police officers. What do you do with the police officers? So if it's the music and the videos and the movies that is having these young people thinking, well, this is what I want to do, then you have to counter that with something. And that's directly related to community policing. Former Police Commissioner Sylvester Johnson used to talk about community policing all the time. The fact that we can't arrest ourselves out of the problems that we see in our communities. I'm involved with the Police District Advisory Council in the 12th Police District in Southwest Philadelphia.
Okay.
And out there, Captain Buford and the Community Relations Officer, Arnold Mitchell, do a tremendous job of trying to bring young people and police officers together. There's a program called Cops and Kids. Once a month, they bring young people in the community into the 12th District Police Station with police officers, and we have a dialogue face to face. In addition to that, if it's not in the police station, these officers take these young people out into the community, different events, and give young people an opportunity to see these officers, to get to know their names one by one. So when these young people talk about the video games that they see, the music they listen to, we have an opportunity to dialogue with these young people about, you know, what impact that has on their lives.
Okay.
So this is police officers doing the kind of work that Doug talked about. But it also gives those concerned citizens who are like part of the Police District Advisory Council an opportunity to bridge the gap between the young people in the community and the police officers that serve us. And I think once we continue to do this kind of stuff, working with youth at this age, then we build them up with an understanding that that's not the way to go.
Right.
So as long as we have programs like Cops and Kids and community policing in the way that it's done, particularly in the 12th district, then I think we'll start to see better outcomes as it relates to the choices that young people make based on what they have available to them in music and videos and that sort of thing.
How are you letting these people know in the community that y'all are providing this service? That y'all.
Well, in Southwest Philadelphia, you know, we have in my organization we have a newspaper called the Southwest Globe Times newspaper. So we advertise the dates and times when Cops and Kids meet at the 12th district. We use our social media. The 12th district has a social media campaign that they advertise it. So once a month. We literally bring young people into the police station to interact face to face with police officers.
Excellent.
Which
Excellent.
is done everywhere.
Thumbs up.
It needs to be widespread.
Okay. You have a question, Akira?
How you doing? Thank you for having me. I just want to address. I don't believe that music or movies plays a lot of influence. I think that's an escape. All right, I'm a musician. I'm also a manager and a producer. I grew up listening to Tupac, Scarface. None of them made me go out here and kill nobody. The only thing it made me do was want to own my own business and get money. I think that a lot of gun violence period, you're right, it does start in the home. A lot of kids don't have education. A lot of kids don't even know who Jesus is. They don't even know who God is. All right? You got a lot of us grown men, we walking around here with our pants sagging and we want to be hard, but we can't even teach our child 2 + 2, right from wrong. We can't even teach our child how to say yes ma'am, no ma'am. I'm a grown man, I still say yes ma'am, no ma'am. My mom was single. My dad lived in New York. I was going back and forth. I'm not out here killing nobody. And I listen to hip hop every day. I manage one of the biggest upcoming artists right now. And nobody listening to our music running around killing nobody. They ain't killing cops or none of that.
My man. We'll be right back. You're watching Like It Is. We're back. Before we went on break, we were talking about those in the community taking back their streets from the undesirable element, bleeding the area out of its potential. What are some immediate actions people can take to help improve people's safety until they can get their local government and law enforcement to act more aggressively?
There is a wealth of programs and there is a wealth of opportunities that are happening in our communities. I can speak for myself and I can co-sign something that Mark said earlier about Cops with Kids that happens in the 12th Police District. One of the beauties is that the Police Explorer program has come back to each police district. They've taken it off a state road. So now young people can go to their local police district and join the Police Explorers. But there's a wealth of programs in our rec centers that we offer. If you talk about Hunting Park, we have well over 400 kids in our programs every year. And the times that they're in our programs, our sports and our youth programs, that's the times that they're not out on the streets committing the crimes and the violence that we're talking about.
Okay.
So engaging in our rec centers, introducing ourselves to our police officers and being a part of those programs can go a long way to end some of this violence that we're facing.
Right. You have a question out here? You have something you would like to say?
Yes. Hi, thank you for having me. My question is why is it easier to get a gun license, but it's not as easy to get a driver's license? That's my question.
If I can share my opinion, I wouldn't agree with the assessment that it's easier. And the people that we're talking about getting gun licenses are not the people who are committing the crimes.
Right.
We've spoken about this earlier, when you have a nation that's inundated with guns, I think some of the figures and some of the studies show that you have approximately 80 guns to every one person in America. So if you're inundated with guns, if I'm a gun owner and a gun lover and my house gets robbed, now that gun is in the street and it becomes accessible to those who wouldn't get a license but would commit crimes. So when you talked about earlier incinerating guns and getting rid of guns and addressing the Second Amendment, when the Second Amendment is for you, the law-abiding citizen,
the right to bear arms,
affect that person who really doesn't care about the law or the Second Amendment.
Wow. You know, there's a lot of gun violence in our areas, right? I believe statistics show that, most of the urban areas, the Caucasians, have the guns, right? But the problem is happening in our community. What do we need to? How do we fix that? Because we're real quick to say when we see a police officer, handling somebody that did something. Oh, look what he did. And we're so quick to jump on that. But why aren't we quick to say, when John just went down and he just killed Kenny down the block? You know what I'm saying? Like we don't come together on that. Like what do we need to do to change that?
I want to answer that. I live around the corner from a police district. But I think it's a mindset. If you just look at how the children interact with one another, like after school, they don't even have to really even know each other. It's just a hatred towards each other.
Wow.
And I believe we have to stop the mindset. It's a negative mindset that goes from generation to generation.
Where is it coming from? Where do you think it's coming from?
I think it comes from the people itself. I think that we have had so much embedded within us where I feel that we need to like ourselves a little bit better. I think that we do not have this positive attitude towards ourselves. And I think if we can change that, I think we can change a whole lot of things.
Okay, I'd like to take this question over here to Doug right here. Real quick, Deja. Can you pass him the mic real fast, Deja? Doug, what do you think about this? Because I heard you say something about the rap songs. I'm really...
Let's talk about this rap thing that we just gave a pause to, okay? Musicians said that, I ain't never shot nobody, I did this, I did that. But what he don't seem to realize is, folks don't seem to see that America, there's not a lot of black people in this country. We in pockets. But if you go to, let's say, this is Rising, Ohio, guess what? They seen Tupac before. So now you spit the profile because now you grab your crotch, wherever it may be. So now all black men fit that profile. And if he's proud about that, that's on him. But I ain't proud about that. Secondly, I was never told to call another black woman a bitch. Thirdly, I don't know too many rap songs that teach love, not shooting. Fourthly, I don't know any rap songs that talk about black history. Fourthly, we don't know who we are. That's why they sing like they sing, because they knew who they really were, the kings and queens and princes that we were. They would be singing and doing what they do. So if we use that as a positive, something's wrong with us. We need to go back to the beginning. See, these young folks are killing each other because they had no sensitivity. I know through the rap, but why they killing each other? I ask most kids why they kill each other because there's no penalty for what they do. There's no penalty because they weren't taught, other than what they see in video games and music, the penalty. There ain't no penalty in these games. They continue to live. You play these games, you start to shoot again. The bottom line is they have no religion. They have no discipline. See, when we came up, we had a thing called chores. Ask young boy today what a chore is. He looks at you like a chore. What's that? And the list goes on and on and on. The bottom line is we got to stop making an excuse about why we do things and make it different about what we need to do. We need to take our homes back. The men ain't there. They need to get back there. I used to tell men all the time, I don't care how you don't never get along. Y'all made a baby, take care of it. And stop making excuses. Because the child don't want to suffer all that. I don't care what nobody says.
Exactly.
Can't no man raise it, no woman can raise a child like that. Man, you can. I was raised without one. But it kind of helps to have a man there.
Yes,
not holding his joint, not smoking a blunt, not riding the car to bounce up and down. As that's our signature show. That's like, what blows my mind, like Lil Wayne, what is it, Lil Wayne? He got a cameo, Oscar when they walked through my house for singing Suck It Like a Lollipop. But in that same sentence, he said, I don't want to thank God at the same time. And we give them a standing ovation. Something's wrong here. We got to disconnect. I used to tell folks all the time, we used to lose our children in high school. But it went from high school to middle school. Now we're losing our babies. Because our babies are playing with cell phones, our babies are playing killing gun video games. I listen to little babies sing all the rap songs, all the B words that is okay. And the N words, because see, that's another thing. That N word that we sing that my mother's mother died, got hung, burned for, that to this day, that's very insulting to me. But since we've been so brainwashed that it's a good word, we're going to change a negative word to a good word. The nigger word is now, the new word for nigger is criminal. Criminal, because so many are now incarcerated in jail because of what we do. They don't use nigger no more, they use the word criminal. So the bottom line is we need to wake up. We just need to stop making excuses, and we need to get out here and take our families, our streets back. Can't nobody solve this problem but us.
Right. I got you. I totally agree with you on a lot of points, but one thing I think also is very important is that we educate ourselves. Just like they changed the word, as you say, nigga, into something else. I don't know whether any of y'all know, but you remember how where Christian, the word Christian came from? That was derogatory. That wasn't always meant following God. There's a lot of rap artists out here in Christian rap that talk real positive, my brother. So there's not, you can't put, just like you have the urban development and you have, the lower class development, you can't put everything in the one pocket and push that off.
But you know what you need to understand that?
What?
And understand what you're saying, my brother. But you need to understand, what about all those years when there wasn't no different pockets, when there wasn't no gospel rap, but it was regular rap? What happened all those years with no parents and children?
Well, you got to remember, regular rap started off. We don't want to change the form here because we're talking about gun violence. But when rap started off, it didn't start off negative. It didn't start off negative until we came out with the Eazy-E's and everything. That's when rap turned.
I know when it came out.
Right. So with the gun violence, everything starts off at home. It starts off, my mom was a single mom. I call my mom on Mother's Day and say, Happy Father's Day. So for a woman raised this man. And she raised me to be very respectful. She raised me not to hurt another person, not to go out with no guns and take nobody's life, because she taught me that if you take somebody's life, you're not going to make it through them gates. So I agree with you, but I disagree at the same time. You have something, Deja?
Thank you so much for having me. I want to respond back to, I believe, Mr. Doug's comment in regards to music and how it influences our culture and gun violence. I do think that the images and the lyrics that we put in our music and the images that we see in the videos do contribute to what goes on in our community in terms of violent behavior. We can't say that, we can't get mad because major networks aren't putting black images or positive black images of people on TV and then get mad when our own are putting out images and propaganda that promotes violence. We can't have it two ways. We can't complain that we're not being shown in a positive light and then encourage negativity. We can't do that. But on the contrary, you have people like T.I., who just released an album, who is basically putting more of a social aspect to what we're going through in America at this time. A lot of the discrimination, a lot of the gun violence, a lot of things that we need to stand up for and what the country is coming together to combat in these times. So I think that it's kind of like a double-edged sword, with that in music and how it perpetuates gun violence. My question, though, to Doug as well as Leroy as former police officers is, in this culture we have a really, really, we're really built on the social media aspect. Everyone's going live, everyone's videotaping. You know, there was a question asked of what steps can we take to protect ourselves in this day and age. We see a lot of these incidences being broadcast, you know, on these social media sites. Does that really offer us a protection, or does it perpetuate more violence? And how does, you know, like you'll see a police officer say, oh, stop taping me, or put that down, or they'll arrest you for so-and-so and this. How does us videotaping something, an injustice happening to us, help us in the long run during, you know, if we're, you know, faced with some form of gun violence or violence, period?
Okay, so in my opinion, and it's just my experiences, in that situation, I think that it is a helpful tool to, one, address the situation by videotaping and having a way to testify against what's being said. So I have no problem in filming police, and police, in my opinion, shouldn't have a problem with being filmed. Training comes into that, because if you as a police officer, if you're doing the right thing, you on camera should not matter.
Right.
So I have no problem with individuals filming police officers, but I will take exception to individuals who film police officers and think that they're vindicated, and they think that they're now you can tell a police officer what you're going to do. In that situation, that police officer is the person of authority, and it'd be better to go home. It'd be better to address that issue at a later time than to confront him or to increase the tension in that particular situation for whatever reason that he's encountering you or he or she is encountering you. It'd be better to go home than to get really nasty with him and exaggerate the situation and cause further problems. Police officers are human too, and when you put them in positions where you have that back and forth, and they're carrying, unfortunately, a tool, which is a gun. If they are going to use that gun, it could turn out really bad that you'll never get the opportunity to know what you said on that tape.
Right.
So you might sometimes want to tone it down until you can get to a better position to address his wrongs.
Okay. Excellent. Go ahead.
Well, to speak on the nice young lady just spoke about it, I really believe that all police officers have body armor. If you're a police officer, that should be a mandatory part of your tool.
Right.
Because I always used to tell my, as being a police officer over 30 years, that I have one of the most powerful jobs in the world, the fact that I can lock you up because I just had a bad day.
Wow.
And it happens,
Right.
So, and that's all them years that we're down like that. And there are good cops and there are bad cops. And it's just like that body armor can protect a bad person, it can protect a good police officer.
Right.
So the bottom line, I really believe that that just should be mandatory part of your gun. It should be also a mandatory camera on every police officer. If you wear a badge and a gun, you should have a body armor.
No doubt. No doubt. Totally agree with that.
Just point out that the vast majority of police officers are good policemen. They're a very, very small percentage of bad policemen in the force. A policeman becomes a policeman because he wants to make his area better, a better place. That's why he's there.
Right. So the gun violence, along with that, you have your good police officers, you have your good neighborhoods, you got your bad neighborhoods. The bottom line is, we've all came up with some very valid points. We've came up with, what he was saying, police and the people need to get together more. And we got that straight from the youth. Changing the mindsets, of what we're doing and how we're, raising our children and the things that we're exposing them to with the video games and the rated X rap music. And, there's no consequences, for these things. That's huge. Never even thought about it that way. When we come back, we'll have some tips and strategies and some safeguards you can put in place to lessen the gun violence in your neighborhood. And final thoughts. This is Like It Is. We're back to Like It Is. We got some tips for y'all, but right now we got a question from the audience.
Big Tone, I would like to ask you a question concerning policing and hiring police. Now, it's been recent incidents where cops have shot unarmed black men for whatever reason, I don't know, but they have.
Right.
Do you agree that they should be better psychoanalyzed when they apply for the police academy? I do.
You got the right one with this one. Here's my thing, right? My thing is, like, you know, these police officers are trained. They go to school. They're trained for what they do. They risk their lives every day, and they're here to serve and protect. And just like, you know, Doug, my man, said, you know, you got your good officers and you got your bad officers. But one thing's for sure and two things for certain. You know, when somebody is like this at you, a lot of things go out the window. We just keep it 100. These officers are trained not to let it go out the window. You know, but things change when your life is at jeopardy. Rules and regulations sometimes, like, it's you or me. I'm going home tomorrow. So with that being said, I don't agree with just shooting somebody just for GP, but I also believe that they're there to serve and protect and keep the community safe. So sometimes they gotta do what they gotta do. I'm not saying it's right that I'm not saying it's right, but you can't never tell unless you're there what's right and what's wrong. There it is. We have somebody else that would like to interject.
Yes, right here.
Okay.
I'm a psychologist, and I used to do the battery test on officers that wanted to be hired and so on and so forth. That's where it starts. What we're looking for is automobile incidents like that, problem with alcoholism, impulsivity. All of that shows up on the test. It's a battery, like 3 or 4 pieces, plus the drawing, meaning draw a picture of yourself, and then we put it together as a composite. And I would say that when I used to do that, I would flunk at least 1/3 of the cases that I got.
Okay.
I like that rebuttal to what the young man, the question he just asked. I know in the city of Philadelphia, they changed the charter rule, if I'm correct, correct me if I'm wrong, a couple years back. See, years ago, you had to live in the city of Philadelphia to be a Philadelphia police officer. And a lot of folks was asleep at the wheel when they changed this rule. So now you have police officers from maybe Erie, Pennsylvania, or York, Pennsylvania, patrolling the streets of Philadelphia. And that police officer has no alliance to that community because anywhere he come from. So we need to understand what's going on here, and it needs to be some kind of special training for these officers. Also, you know, we used to patrol the highways in the inner cities here, which the state police took over. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And we lost that. So now you got somebody who's never lived anywhere in the city of Philadelphia pulling over somebody in the Philadelphia area. So these are things that can get better by training, or sensitivity training at least, so folks know who they dealing with, you know.
So do you have any tips?
Well, my tips is, first of all, to stop, because, you know, to me, the number one thing to stop gun violence in the city is one word. It's called Moody Faye. You say, well, what the heck is Moody Faye? Moody Faye means, I love you.
Hold up. Say it again.
Moody Faye.
Means what?
I love you.
There it
That's
is.
your rock. And let me explain something real quick to you. I've been out here for many years. I don't care how big the dude is, how messed up the young lady be in their hearts. Once you tell these young folks you love them, you've been making their whole character change.
Wow. Yep.
Don't nobody talk to these kids. They talk at them,
Yes.
but they don't talk to them.
Right.
And that's the biggest key. If you love something, you ain't gonna hurt them. You ain't gonna hurt somebody you love.
Right.
And that's one of the things I practice. I preach it. Love.
Okay.
Tell somebody you love them. Because you ain't guaranteed to see the rest of the day, let alone tomorrow.
There it is. Anybody else got any more tips?
All right, first of all, I got a tip. Yeah, first tip is we as grown-ups, as parents, need to take action for what our kids do. Bottom line. When I was coming up, the whole community was a family. The whole community was the family, okay? I didn't have to wait for my mother and father to come home Nah, my neighbor tore me up. And then told my mother and father, then my mother and father tore me up. Another thing is that everybody thinks that because you spank your child, it's corporal punishment. They call child protective services. No, sometimes your child needs a spanking on the butt. Okay? Never hurt nobody. All right?
There it is.
I hear a lot of people say, and I'm serious, it hurts me, because I hear a lot of people say, well, rap music has a big influence on everything. One of the greatest rappers out there, KRS-One, used to teach the people with rap. Okay? Public Enemy, Poor Righteous Teachers. Even MC Hammer came with a message. Tupac gave a message. Tupac, yeah, he might have said, be this, be that, F the police, but then he turned around and said, dear mama, and he said, respect your women, take charge. Men, grow up, get an education. Okay? The police, back in the day, used to, yeah, you're right, they did used to talk to you. I got uncles, brothers, cousins that's police officers. And they used to come around back in the day, they used to walk the beat, walk down the street. They don't do that no more. The police will look at me and you as a young black man and say, you know what? Here you go. Woo! So I'm going to let that go with that. Thank you once again for having me. Peace.
You know, first of all, I want everybody to give themselves a round of applause for everything. But, you know what I mean? We're going to go to some final thoughts, right? And I want to start off with my man, Kimani. Kimo, what you got? What you got for us?
Well, my tips is for parents, as y'all kids, like, since I'm a young person, like, sometimes, you know, go easy on y'all kids when it comes to punishments, when it comes to, like, yelling at them or giving them a little, you know, ass whooping or something like that. You know what I mean? But, like, you go too hard on your kids, they gonna start closing out on y'all. They gonna start keeping secrets from y'all. You want your kids to talk to you about everything, about how they feel. So, like, as parents, you should, like, take them out, take them to the park, you know, let them have hobbies. Like, take them to programs where they can learn about stuff. You know, like, sometimes y'all gotta take a break, have a day, and go out and enjoy the day. And the more you interact with your kids, the more your kids gonna interact with you, and they gonna have more feelings to open up to you. And as a parent, like, y'all should, like, sometimes be aware of what y'all doing, because you as the parent, you are the role model, so they learn off y'all. They see you drinking, they see you smoking. When they grow up, they gonna learn, oh, why you doing it? Why you got a tattoo? I want it too.
Got you. Okay. Ms. Tanya Banks.
Again, I want to thank you for being here. This is a very sensitive subject. Telling you from the beginning when we first started it, my son was killed at 20 years old. But just like I said before, I believe that you should really have mentors. And I don't mean mentors that are just the average person. I mean a person that was a gangbanger, been into the penitentiary for 25 years, been there, seen everything. A lot of children are visual, and they're not going to believe something if it's something that they haven't even seen. And my production company, I have a play out, Looking Up, which is an urban play for the youth, and it's you can go on my website, banksproductionsent.com.
Thank you, Tanya. Jack, what are your final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts are very simple. In every block in Philadelphia, there are far more good people than there are bad people. Get together, support your police. The police are there to help everybody. That's what they want to do. The police can't do anything if they don't know about the crimes. You want to stop the gun violence block by block? Do it in your own block. Your block, and then the next block would go down, and organize to watch for violence. And there are cell phones everywhere. You can take photographs. Do everything you can to document crime.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Leroy, what you got for us?
Okay, well, I'm here today representing Hunting Park United. We are residents who get together every second Saturday of the month at the Hunting Park Rec Center, and we talk about these same issues. So addressing community issues and coming together, speaking, and sharing different opinions goes a long way to changing the outlook of our community and taking our blocks back.
Right.
It's really, like you said, getting together and sharing our information. There's no one solution.
Okay.
There's a lot of solutions but we need to come together and talk about them.
Right. We're going to go to my man Doug over here. Yo, Doug.
I'm here representing the Love and Laughter Foundation, or the Gerald Say, Christopher Say Love and Laughter Foundation. And the reason why I'm representing them is this is a family that lost their son on Easter Sunday on gun violence. And one of the things they do is try to prevent gun violence in the city of Philadelphia to the loss of their own son. But some of the things we can do for prevention is, I always tell folks, instead of being part of the problem, help the solution. Talk. If you got a gun in your house, tell your children you got a gun in your house. Tell them when you need to tell them, because if you don't, they'll find it on their own. And that's how so many of our babies are getting shot and killed, because they're finding these things. You need to have gun prevention. You need to tell these folks, you get shot, you might not come back. It ain't like you play on the video game or on the rat videos, you ain't coming back. You get shot, you die. And these sons of the they need to know the realities of, because the bottom line is so many of our children have no sensitivity about what a gun can do. That's the biggest problem. They have no sensitivity. If they really knew what a gun can do, I think most of them really, between the incarceration or the maximum penalty of death, they would never touch a gun.
Okay, there it is. There it is. Well, everybody, I hope this conversation has sparked a fire in you to go out and fight for yours. You know what I mean? Our children, our communities cannot wait for the federal government to ride in on a white horse. Fear and faith do not reside in the same place. So if you want the gun violence contained, you must step out on faith and be the change in your community. If you lead, they will follow. To watch previous episodes, go to the Like It Is YouTube channel. You can also catch the show every Saturday at 5 p.m. on Comcast Channel 66 and 966 Verizon, Channel 29 and 30. Now, from the entire Like It Is crew,
tell it like it is.
Tell it like it is. Have a good day, everybody.
My America is the place where I live. My America is the place where I'll die. It's the place where we all look for that pie in the sky. My America has colors more than any other rainbow. You need to stand out for your true colors to show. If you have a dream, this is where you go. Yeah, that's my America. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing, 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 sing. My America took red man's land to never give it back. It needed labor for free, so it enslaved the black. Being different in any way makes you subject to attack. Yo, man, get back. My America thinks justice is on its side. It's arrogant to a fault and filled with pride. Hold on tight, we're all on for the ride as you fly by. You wait by, you wait by, you wait by. Yeah, that's my America. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing, 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 sing. My America bore great people from my race. We had inventors, entertainers, and those that walked in space. But it's very important that you know your place. Hey, man, what you mean I got to get back in my place? My America may be different from where you grew, from who you are and what you do. Each America different, each America true, each America true, each America true, each America true. Yeah, that's my America. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing, sing, sing. Everybody sing.
Yeah.